Shalom Aleichem to everybody. Again, it's wonderful to be together, to see, to hear, and to discuss words of Torah, giving God His great satisfaction, so to speak. There's no satisfaction to Hashem as when the Jewish people are discussing words of Torah. So He's very happy with us all tonight that we're here to hear words of Torah, to ask, to answer, to listen, to understand, and hopefully take it with us afterwards. The lessons that we can learn. This parsha this week we'll read the Torah parshas Yisro. Yisro, the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu. Imagine that. His daughter married the greatest man who ever lived, who ever will live, Moshe Rabbeinu, and he was his father-in-law. So he must have been somebody very, very great to be Zoiche, to have that great schus, to marry the daughter of the greatest man who ever lived, never will live. So we have to learn some things from him. And there are many things to be learned. I want to pick out some things tonight that we could hear about, think about, and try to do about. And the title tonight is, if you want to be great, you got to have the guts. Like Yisro, he had a lot of guts to do what he did, to say what he said, to act like he acted. And that's what people want to be great. You got to have guts. It's interesting that the parsha starts off, Vayishma Yisro, Hashem. Yisro heard all the miracles Hashem did for the Jewish people when he's taking them out from the land of Egypt. And he had heard all those miracles. He was very impressed and very excited. And the question that everybody asks, well, he's not the only one who heard. A lot of people heard, the whole world heard about all the miracles that happened in Egypt, out of Egypt, splitting of the Red Sea. And he came to the Jewish people into the desert. He heard what's great things happening to them. God's doing to them great miracles. He came running. He wants to be part of it. He wants to be into that nation. And what happened to everybody else? They also heard. Why didn't they come running? There were such great miracles. And they say the story of the man coming down from the mountains, from the sticks, before trains were known by people a few hundred years ago, came out from the woods living by himself or just a few people around. They came to the big city and they never saw a train before. And he's walking in the street and all of a sudden he sees coming down the mountain this beautiful metal, glowing piece of iron. And he was mesmerized. What is that coming down the mountain? It was a train they never saw before. And he just kept staring at it, watching it. And he wanted to get closer to it. So he went on the tracks in front of the train to get a good look. He saw this big eye in front of it. It was the light. It was shining up. And he was just unbelievable, mesmerized by the sight. Now, naturally, the train's coming down on the track, and he's on the tracks now. So the engineer of the train blows the whistle. Warning sign. They go, oh, it blew the whistle. It must be a chasna train. People on the must be on the chasna playing music on the beautiful whistle that is here. So he starts dancing, clapping his hands and dancing, and maybe they're having a wedding. So the two people observing what's happening, you see a train coming down, the man's on the tracks, they're blowing the whistle to get out of the way, and he's dancing. So one said to the other one said to this friend next to him, he must be deaf. He doesn't hear the whistle. If he heard the whistle, he knows danger, get out of the way, off the tracks. So his friend says to him, no, he hears the whistle. He hears, but he doesn't know what he's hearing. He's hearing death, and he thinks he's hearing joy. He's hearing, but doesn't know what he's hearing. You have to depends how you hear things to know what's behind it. He hears, but doesn't know what he's hearing. The same thing. So the great Barim was told the same thing. Yisro, everybody heard. Yisro heard. They heard. He came running. They didn't come running because they heard. They didn't know what they're hearing. Yisro knew what he's hearing about. He's hearing great miracles. He's hearing there's a great nation. There's a great God in the world. The power. He has a great nation that he's taking care of. He's doing miracles for them. And Yiddish we say, their Heron. He understood. Hearing means understanding. And Hebrew also means understanding. Shemiah. They all heard, but Yisro heard, and he heard into it, understood what he's hearing. He understood what's going on. Other people heard it. They say, it's nothing. Probably it's all kinds of kishir, sorcery and magic. It's just happening by itself. They don't give much attention to it, and they didn't hear that there's a God behind it, and there's something great behind it that they could join if they want. The great nation that God's doing it for. But Yisro heard, and he heard into it. He understood what he's hearing. Other people heard the same thing, but they don't understand what they're hearing. Here he heard joy and greatness, and they heard a nice entertainment, what's happening in the world with the Jewish people, with the plagues, with this, but they didn't move them. They didn't think into it. What's going on over here? What means to be a Jewish nation, to be part of the Jewish nation? So Yisro came coming, and he became converted to Judaism, and because he wanted to be part of this great nation. So that's Vayishma Yisro. We're talking about the guts of Yisro. A few things that show how gutsy person he was. He says today in Parshas Yisro that we read this coming Shabbos. Ati dati, I know now. Hashem, that he's the one that are powerful in the world. He runs the world. Greater than all other gods in the world. How do you know that? So Rashi brings, because there was no God in the world that Yisro did not serve. Yisro was a great searcher, searching for the truth, searching for the true religion. He went around the world practicing every type of religion that was able for him to get into and to serve and do. He tried them all. They said he was a great mind. He was very smart, naturally, a geniusy guy. They didn't make sense to him till he came to Yiddishkeit, till he came to realize the greatness of the Jewish nation, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of Hashem. Similar to Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu recognized Hashem on his own, great philosopher. He didn't have anybody to learn from, Avram Avinu. Some say he was 3 years old, some say older than that. They looked into the world. People served the sun. Says, oh, maybe the sun's God. But then the sun went down, it got dark. He said, it can't be this. It's God. Well, how could it get dark? If it's God, he should be around the whole time. And he went from thing to thing till finally he realized that all the things people are serving these gods are nothing. And he came to the conclusion there's an old God above everything. And he was such a great philosopher. So Yisro was the same way, that not quite the same, because he was traveling. He came to Jewish religion. Avram started from nothing, came to it all by himself. Yisro, he came to it even though he served all of the gods, but when he came to the Jewish nation and looked into that religion, he said, this is the real thing. This is what I have to become part of. So Avram was even greater than Yisro. Avram didn't even have even that to go by. Yisro had a Jewish nation to now look into and be able to judge and compare all of the religions, Jewish religion, and came to the conclusion that this is really something to be part of, the Jewish religion, but the other religions are not really no reality to them. They're not the real thing. So it takes a lot of guts for a person to go around and serve and get into and talk to people and discuss and ask and so on to see if what they're doing is true or not, going around the world and being curious into all other religions, what people are doing, and to get into dialogue with them with their religion and test it out. He did that, and he came to the conclusion it's not what, because if you find many people today, people that are Baalei Tshuva became religious Jews, they say the same thing, that they searched and they tried to find out what the true religion is, or Yiddishkeit. If born Jews wanted to see if there's really for them to maybe get involved with Judaism, and they went around testing. And how many people said they first went to a Reform synagogue? They said, no, that's not it. That can't be. Never conservative synagogue. No, that can't be the real thing. Orthodox synagogue. See, that's something about, while we're talking about it, people, a mistake people think, people not educated in Judaism, think that there's three parts to Judaism. There's Reform, there's Conservative, and Orthodox. And you could be part of any one of those, and you're a good Jew. They think that that's what Judaism was all about since Mount Sinai. When God gave the Torah Mount Sinai, he made three different categories: Reformed, Conservative, and Orthodox. And therefore, they're all genuine, they're all the real thing. The person can choose whatever he wants. This one's a little easier than that one. That one's even easier than that. And some of them are real strict, Orthodox. But that's such a false idea, naturally. There's only one Judaism, only authentic Judaism. It has to be authentic. It has, but God gave the Torah of Mount Sinai, and he gave us the written law and the oral law, and that law is to be kept for all generations. It wasn't for just then. God there was only one category in Mount Sinai, keeping the Torah. That's the only thing that was given. All 67 to 13 laws in the Torah that we have to keep, every person in his level of being a Jew, whether it's Yisro, or Levi, or Kohen, everybody has their laws to keep. And Reformed means, like the name itself, it's reformed. The Torah has a form, they're reforming it. You can't reform God's Torah. And Conservative means that you're a little more than the Reformed, but you're not haven't gone the whole way yet. But those were not given Mount Sinai. Those were afterwards. People came up, that nerve and the chutzpah to come change the laws of the Torah and say that they're not relevant today. All the different silly ideas that they came up with. There's no such thing as three parts of Judaism. There's only one authentic Judaism. That's what we talk about. That usually we refer to as Orthodox, and that's really what we have to know about. So I'm just mentioning that people go through that same kind of searching like Yisro did. Of course, some Jews go and look into other religions too. You have some people that become Geirin, that non-Jews become Jewish, and they also went through that same searching for their life, for the future, for eternity, looking at the original that we're born in, and they look into it and they see that it's not the real thing, until they finally take a taste of Judaism and see that this is the real thing. Well, that's what Yisro was, and he wasn't ashamed. He went around searching. He had the guts to look into everything. That's number one, this gutsy part of him. And once he did come to the conclusion of Judaism as the true religion, he had a lot of interference and challenges, because where he lived, people did not go along with him. They believed in idol worship and other gods and so on. And to the extent that he fought them, they didn't go along with them. Just like Avraham Avinu again, he fought the Nimrod, he fought all the idol worshippers that were against him. And where Yisro lived, they excommunicated him. Well, the Chayrim, they said, you're living, you don't believe what we believe in. You believe in your own God. Well, we have nothing to do with you. And you excommunicated. They have nothing to do with him. But he was a gutsy person. It didn't bother him. They think that by excommunicating him, they'll teach him a lesson and they'll change. He'll become different. No, he didn't. Became stronger, maybe not weaker, for sure not. And his daughters, we know that 7 daughters that he had had a big influence on his family. That they stuck to the truth. Also, were not influenced by the people around them. They were steadfast Judaism to the extent that Tzipporah, his daughter, married Moshe Rabbeinu. She was so great. But when they were taking care of the sheep, the shepherds came and chased them away. The stories, they were excommunicated, get out of here. They wouldn't have anything to do with them. But they were not changed by that. They were not upset with that. They kept doing what they had to do, to the extent that Tzipporah married Moshe Rabbeinu. She was so strong in the conviction of believing in Hashem. So this is the family of Yisro. That one thing that we can think to ourselves, that we realize that we're part of the Jewish religion, and all religions today, they have any value to them, all come from Judaism, actually. Christianity comes from Judaism. The first Christians were Jews, we know, and their God was a Jew also. The Last Supper, we spoke last time, it was a Seder night, so he was a Jewish person who was a bad guy, who went against Judaism. And they created this religion they call Christianity. And also the Muslims, also their Muhammad is based on Judaism. Naturally, a lot of the laws come from the Torah. And but this is some people go through the searching and come to this conclusion of the truth, like Yisro came. So we have to think to ourselves, realizing that Baruch Hashem, as Jewish people, we have the real truth. We know that God gave the Torah to us on Mount Sinai, and millions of people witnessed it, and those people gave it over to their next generation, and the next generation, millions to millions and millions of people. No other religion can brag and say they have such a Kabbalah, such a Messiah of giving over Torah to one. The old religions have some guy got up and said, I'm God, and he had people, followers, and railing around him, and spread out to other people, but God never came in front of millions of people to say he's it. He himself is the one with his followers, made up a religion that God chose them and rejected the Jewish people. If God rejected us, he would come down again and some signs, I reject the Jewish people. He would have given like he came to the 10 Commandments. He came before everybody, I'm God, you're God, and you're my nation. We never found God coming down again and saying, well, I changed my mind and I don't want the Jewish people anymore. There's no such thing. So we have to realize that we know that we have the true religion, and we know God's on our side, and we know all the thousands of years that we survived all the persecutions of the non-Jews that tried to get rid of us, and we're still around with very strong, growing, thriving, and something that we should learn from Yisro. We got to be strong. Well, here we have to hear, read the Torah, and hear what we're supposed to hear. We learn the Torah, we learn all the miracles God did, because out of Egypt gave us the Torah. We have to, that's this week's portion of the Torah. Yisro, God comes down on Mount Sinai and gives the Torah to the Jewish people. We not only just hear it, just a sound in our ears, but we have to understand it. To see if God they made all these miracles for the Jewish people, that means he chose us to be his nation. So this is what we have to take seriously, learn from this week's parsha. Next thing that Yisro was so special about, gutsy about, that he was living, he was living in honor. Seems he had some followers that were close to him, and he had a lot of good things that he had where he lived. There's certain people that were close to him and gave him honor, and he had riches that he was able to live a very good life. And what did he do? He came to the Midbar. He heard what happened to the Jewish people, and he came to the desert where the people were, the Jews were on their way to the Holy Land, on the way out of Egypt to Israel, those days that they spent in the Midbar for 40 years. But right now they're fresh out of Egypt, and he heard what's going on, and he came running. Some say it was before the Torah was given, some say after the Torah was given, but he gave up all which he had. He gave up the honor that he had from those people. He gave up the riches that he had, left his family, and he came to the Midbar, to the desert, to be part of the Jewish people. And because he was such a strong-minded person, and a person was such a truthful person, he wanted to be together with the people of the truth, people of the Torah, people of the true religion that he discovered through his curiosity, going around researching, and he found out the Jewish people, they're the ones, they're the real thing. Okay, so he'll give up everything and become part of them. And even though he was living very comfortably where he was, he came and to the Jewish people to be part of them. And this is something we also have to realize also, that a lot of times we have different types of challenges in our life of being Jewish. We talk about all the time. We have challenges for keeping Shabbos. People say, how can I keep Shabbos? How will I make a living? And Yisro didn't say that. He left his comfort zone and came to the Midbar and said, don't worry, God will help me. I don't have to worry about the comfort zone when I'm leaving. I'm more comfortable being close to Hashem. People have to realize by keeping Shabbos, it'll be much more enjoyable. The whole life will be different, enjoyable. Thinking that we're together with God. Shabbos is the most holy day of the year. Every Shabbos, we're so close to Hashem. Anybody who keeps Shabbos realizes what a wonderful feeling it is. Much more than making some money on Shabbos. It's nice to make money on Shabbos, but to be close to Hashem is even more enjoyable. And we have to look at Shabbos as a great gift God gave to us. He gave it to us and not to the nations of the world. They have the 7 Noah laws, but Hashem never gave them the Shabbos. We have Shabbos, a great gift, like we say in a prayer on Shabbos morning. You didn't give it to the nations of the world because with your great love, you gave us the Shabbos. You gave the love of Shabbos that we can't do this and we can't do that, and we can't do all kinds of things in Shabbos. And we're obligated to keep Shabbos in such a way. People say, how keeping Shabbos is so boring and so difficult. They don't realize what it means to keep Shabbos, how not boring it is, how enjoyable it is, how exciting it is to keep Shabbos. They never kept it before. They think it's boring and you don't do anything at Shabbos. Being close to Hashem and having a Shabbos table and singing the Shabbos songs and having great Shabbos food and being together with the family discussing words of Torah, that's so much more enjoyable than being in the store over there making money, whatever, in the office, me on the computer, whatever it is. Being Shabbos is really enjoyable for a person, much more than. So this is what we have to learn from Yisro, that we have to give up sacrifices to become part of the Jewish nation. We can listen to God's Torah, but it really pays off. The sacrifice comes from something very enjoyable for this world and for the world to come. Naturally, Hashem will give special rewards to people who sacrifice, give up their whatever they're doing on Shabbos in order to keep Shabbos. And this world, it's enjoyable, plenty enough, like we said before, but the world to come will be much more overwhelming than even in this world. So this is what we have to learn from this way of he gave up his enjoyment. We say to study Torah, person should be Moshe Nefesh. That our rabbis tell us, if to study Torah, even that means that it will be hard to live. You won't have a meager food to eat, and you won't have much drinks to drink, and won't have a comfortable way to live, a place to live. But to study the words of Torah, a person who knows what it means to study Torah, you're connecting to Hashem, and all these earthly, physical things that we think we can't get without, they become secondary to the joy and the great feeling of connecting to Hashem by learning Torah and keeping His laws. They become so much more meaningful and so much more enjoyable than people who have all the pleasures of this world the money and the cars and the houses and the clothes and the vacations, and everybody running after all the joys of this world. And the person sitting studying Torah is enjoying himself much more than those people. But people are trying to believe it until you experience it. Once you experience studying Torah and talking with Torah to our people, discuss discussions and being part of this great nation of Judaism that we study Torah close to Hashem. When you're part of it and you experience it, then you realize that everything what everybody's doing, they don't really enjoy it nearly as much as we enjoy doing the laws of the Torah and studying Torah. And another gutsy thing about Yisro was that, imagine that, he criticized Moshe Rabbeinu, his father-in-law, the greatest man in the world. He criticized him and told him, "You're not doing the right thing." And Moshe Rabbeinu accepted it from him. That's a gutsy thing to do, to criticize the greatest man in the world. But Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader in the desert. All matters came to him. People had lines, long lines of people coming to him to ask him questions, to ask advice, and people were. It was a difficulty to get to speak to him. And Yisro said to Moshe Rabbeinu, "This is not right. You can't do this. You won't be able to live like this. You won't be able to be successful in this way. You have to make other people to be help you out. You have to have different judges and advisors, that they should be secondary people to you. They should come to them first and get their advice and get their knowledge. And if they can't go to the simple court, they go to a higher court. And if they ultimately don't know, they'll come to you with the greatest questions, whether it's a court question, whether it's advice, whether it's a law in the Torah. But you have to give out give out the management of Torah to many other people, that they should be available for people to ask questions to. And the questions that come that they can't answer, the greatest question, the difficult ones, they'll come to you for that. Otherwise, if you do it all by yourself, it's not possible for it to be able to be successful with that. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, "You're right. I can listen to your advice," and he did that. He made different people in charge of different amounts of people at a time. Some people, 10 people, one under one management person, and 50 and 100, and ultimately, if like we said, if they couldn't answer the highest people appointees could not answer the question, they went to Moshe Rabbeinu with those questions. So it took a lot of guts for him to go to criticize Moshe Rabbeinu and give him an advice how to work things and how to conduct themselves in the midbar, in the desert. And Moshe Rabbeinu accepted from him. As a matter of fact, some of the great Bali Musars, so the great commentators tell us that this is one of the main lessons from this parasha. There's so many things to learn from this portion, but one of them is that a great person could listen to smaller people than him and get advice and accept it. A lot of great people don't like to get advice from smaller people. It seems that that feels it's missing in their honor to have to come out to other people to tell them advice. They don't like to take advice from other people. Here, Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest man in the world, Yisro came to him. He said, "It's a good idea. We're going to do that." And that's one of the main purpose of this portion, according to Altaf and Kellam. And this is what we're supposed to learn from the parasha of Yisro, amongst all the other things. The person should never feel too great to listen to somebody, some advice, maybe even from our own children sometimes, or from the people that maybe not educated as us, or maybe not smart as us, but they can come up with good ideas. We shouldn't feel too great to accept from people that are less knowledgeable than we are, whatever it might be. Well, it's a good idea. Let's take it. Whether I didn't think about it, and I'm too ashamed to say. Let's think about it. Take it. Everybody has their purpose in this world. Certain ideas that Hashem put in their heads, maybe that's not so great, but they're here for a purpose. They might have great ideas that even great people didn't think about. I'm sure we all can associate ourselves with such people sometimes, that people come up that we wouldn't expect them to just be smarter than us and have great advice, but that's the fact. So there's another, so we're talking about these great things to learn from this by from Yisro, that we have to have the guts to do the right thing, whether it's guts to search for the right thing, ask the right questions to the right people. Even though we might not be embarrassed to ask questions, we should go asking and search and curious about things. Ask. Don't be ashamed to ask. And let's not be too comfortable with our life. That I don't want to change things. If I study about something and I might think that it's true, I'll have to take away from maybe some of my find out that what kosher is all about. Maybe I won't be able to eat my favorite kosher and non-kosher food. Be gutsy about it. Maybe take upon yourself. One thing, things not so easy in this world to get ahead. We want to be successful. We got to sacrifice, and not to be too afraid to speak up to great people, even though they might be greater than us. But if we have questions and things to add, we should go ahead and do it, and not be too ashamed and too small in our own eyes that we can't. Tell other people if we feel that maybe there's something they could change, good advice for them. Tell them. Don't be ashamed to tell them. They'll be very appreciative. A great person will appreciate what you're saying to them. So these are the things that we can learn from this week's parsha, and we got to have guts and do it.